All right, so it's time for another junk parts build because I find myself in need of a specific sort of instrument that I don't have and don't have the money for and probably have the parts to build. All right, not that one. Maybe? Oh, that might be the one. All right, now I've gathered up the hardware, and I'll get the electrical portion afterwards once I've finished the woodwork part. But for now, I've got a pine body. I've got this cheap, like, telly style neck that I got off of Amazon. There's one more part that I still need to get. Hold on. It's a good thing I actually like to bake, and therefore I have a ton of springform pans around. This one's from like the 80s, and I took it out of rotation because, as you can see, it's pretty rusty at this point, not really recoverable. But I kept it just for a build like this. Now, if you can see where I'm going with this, I kind of want a 6-string banjo. I'm not a banjo player. I don't intend to learn how to play a real banjo, but I want banjo sounds, and doing something like this with a 6-string guitar tuning will at least let me get a little bit of that into the tracks that I've been working on recording and writing lately. So I'm gonna see what I can do about building something that sounds kind of banjo-y. This body was originally in the reject pile because it was reclaimed pine, and by the time I was finished milling it, it was just thinner than I would like a pine body to be. Generally, because it's a softer wood, I would want it to be a little bit chunkier, and it was turning out to be like 1.25 inches thick, smaller than most hardwood bodies. One of the first things that I did was cut a piece of ash to lay out as kind of a spine for it, to thicken up the center section and give it a piece of hardwood that would help resist any sort of flex or bowing from string tension once I got it all together. I cut and book matched that piece of ash, both so that it would be now glued together and laminated for a little bit of extra strength, as well as the fact that that would add a little bit of extra decorative detail once I got this build done. Before I mounted that in, I cut a 1/4 inch channel along the front center line, and I inlaid a piece of oak. This will help me with all of my layout and getting everything centered in future steps of the build, as well as being another nice little decorative piece of woodwork. I had to flush cut this by hand with a saw that's far too short for what I was trying, but you know, it turned out all right. Planing, sanding, and it's all back to being nice and flat and smooth again. Once I flush cut the body to its final shape, I cut this big hole in it that you can see here, and I cut a little rabbet around to give it a little bit of an extra channel for that pie tin to sit in. It was at that point that I cut a channel and I added the ash spine, because this body was now thin, reclaimed pine with a huge hole in it, multiple problems to overcome for stability. But I added this ash spine. It does not contact the top here, and in the back it sits a little bit proud of the rest of the body. So there's a little bit of extra hardwood bulk here to keep everything straight. I shaped everything so that it'll still fit comfortably. From there on out, it's just pretty standard guitar woodworking. Routing the neck pocket, rounding over the edges. I did a pretty hefty round over with the biggest bit that I had, because at this point I kind of wanted to go with the thin body feel and aesthetic, so I cut that really steep round over so that it would make it feel even thinner at the edges. So now that I've got my rough assembly together, it's time to add a tailpiece, string this thing up for the first time, and then see where my string height is and adjust the action accordingly. I will be cutting down this cheap Amazon tailpiece so that it will fit over the pie tin without leaning into it and causing any sort of rattling or muting from that top. And this requires a little bit of Dremel work before mounting it to the body. And when I do mount it to the body, I'm going to use a piece of string strung through where the high and low E strings would go to give me an idea of where it's sitting along the center line and where the strings will sit on the fretboard, so I can get everything centered real nicey nice where I want it to be. And we'll put some strings on it and we'll see just how bad this action is to start with. I did a lot better on my calculations for neck pocket depth and all of that than I expected that I had done. And this thing's pretty good. I could maybe shave like a 32nd of an inch off of the bridge just to lower the strings a bit, but for now, I think I'll leave it as is. So the only thing left to do is to tune this up and give it a test drive. I'm sure you figured out by now that you've been listening to it for the entire video, and let me get you a few isolated sounds here. The only thing I actually bought for this build is a set of Geiger locking tuners. That's the only cost, so it is right on par with my Junk Parts Les Paul that I built before at around $30 for this whole build. Everything else out of the scrap bin. I've already got some plans for how I'm going to modify and electrify this, and I've already started brewing plans for like a version 2 that's going to be a little bit more streamlined, a little less slapdash, and that version 2 is also going to add in a magnetic pickup in addition to the piezo. That's going to take me a little while to get put together. My big project I need to work on right now is building my bandsaw. That's going to take me probably a couple of months to get done, but I do have some small builds that you'll see on the way. Besides this banjo, besides version 2, I've got a U-bass that I'm building. I've got a Stratocaster that I'm doing a heavy relic job on. I've got a few other things that aren't even music-related DIYs that I'm doing around the house that I thought might be worth a video. So I'll see you around when those happen. In the meantime, I hope you continue making weird things and making music with weird things, and hopefully I'll see you around.